Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Okay, cool. So I don't know. Hey guys, sorry about that. The technical difficulty just now. Somehow the broadcast kendala. But welcome to episode 4 of Ask Us, this ongoing Facebook Live series that I've been doing. Today is day 4, hari keempat when doing this live. So if you're here, if you're watching this, thanks for watching this. Tolong type where you're from. Please type where you're from so I know where you guys are from. If you're watching this for the first time, hi, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this after many times, thanks again so much. I appreciate your returning hang with me. Return to hang out. So today is episode 4. Again, I am basically here to answer questions that any of you might have about guitar, about music. Kalau sesiapa ada soalan tentang music, tentang gitar, saya akan cuba jawab. Tonight, I think I probably will not probably not do like 1 hour and a half or anything like that. I probably try to do like half an hour. So if you just started watching this, please type where you're from. Love to know where you're from. And if anyone has questions, how do you get into Malaysian Philharmonic? I had kind of an informal audition process. Yeah. So and then they after that they kept calling me back again and again. So I get called by them. That happened. Yeah, I was referred to them, and then I had kind of an informal audition process, and then I got called for my first time I played with them, probably around 2011, and I've been getting them. Yeah, you basically like a lot of the gigs you can sight read on the spot lah. Sebab like say the Pixar stuff, you get 80 pages of music, 80 muka surat. You can sight read, and that's for the bigger ones. Some of the like lesser demanding gigs tak less lah, maybe like tak banyak sangat, tak banyak pieces. Kalau if you only playing as a guest for a few of the pieces, maybe it's, you know, between 3 to 10 pages. On the heavy gigs, it's like 40 to 80 pages of music. So you have to be able to sight read. And most of the time, the hard parts are you have to be able to sight read and change guitars in the middle. So you might have to start playing on electric guitar. Lepas tu ada like 2 or 4 bar rest, pick up nylon string guitar, lepas tu swap, pick up ukulele, letak bawah, pick up electric guitar, pick up nylon, tukar. Yeah, so you have to be good at sight reading, and you have to be able to double. A lot of the stuff I played yang hard kan, I kena bawa macam, this is the most difficult ones lah. I think I kena bawa like between 4 ke 8 gitar, like 4 to 8 instruments. So I had to, some of the stuff I had to double on. I think the Pixar one I had to double on ukulele, steel string guitar, electric guitar, hollow body guitar, baritone guitar, Nashville tune guitar. What else? Baritone, electric, Nashville tune guitar. I remember I had 6 or 8 instruments. So not only you have to read a lot of music, then you have to double. I think that one also I had to double on mandolin as well. So you have to be able to read music, you have to have the instruments, and you have to be able to play as well as possible. So you have to play many different styles because it's a session gig. Hey David, how you doing? So you have to be like, it's very typical to get something like maybe one piece might be jazz, like swing, one piece might be bossa nova, one piece might be acoustic, like strumming, one piece could be gypsy jazz, one piece could be like rock, like, you know, like just like straight ahead 80s rock or something. One could be folk, one could be finger picking, one could be kind of classical, one could just be like a few lead lines. The Beatles concert I did, so you have to like macam-macam style lah. So like that, those kind of gigs, those kind of session gigs with the orchestra, it's a lot of work. So pernah main salah, yeah, pernah main salah. I mean, you make mistakes, but you're hired not to make mistakes. So, you know, like most of the time the mistake is during rehearsal when you're trying to figure it out. When you do the show, you're trying to play ideally as perfect as possible. I mean, that's the goal lah. But you're also hired that if you do make a mistake, right, to be able to make it sound good and not like mistake like 5 bars in a row or something. If you make a mistake, you recover very, very fast and no one should notice it. Definitely not the audience. So, I mean, everyone makes mistakes. It's human. But you're hired to not make mistakes. You're hired to play very, very well. So you're supposed to practice and be prepared to play as good as you can, as humanly possible, basically. But yelah, pernah buat salah lah. But usually you try to do the mistakes. If you need to do mistakes, you do it during rehearsal. So during the actual concert, you can perform better. That's why you have to practice and prepare. Azman, Waalaikumsalam, bro. Good to see you, man. You prepare as much as possible so that when you do the shows, you do well. Okay, so that was interesting. Kind of audition question. Kondo. Let me see, man. I'm trying to see. How do I do this? Sorry, I don't know the song. I don't know how to play it very well. That's how it goes. Something like that. A little bit lah. So yeah, I have to learn that. Actually, that's quite a nice song to learn. Thanks for the suggestion, Azman. Kalau konsert saya pernah buat mistake 8 bar salah chord, malu saya senyum band member saya. I mean, everyone makes mistakes, man. You know, just like you know, I've made mistakes banyak kali. And it's like, you know, from like performances or like from gigs, we learn from the mistakes. I mean, that's the whole goal. If the idea is not about not making mistakes, but learning from the mistakes, and from every show, from one gig to the next, not to repeat those kind of mistakes, because everyone I know has made mistakes during shows. But the really good ones, you know, they keep getting better, and you don't start making mistakes and every single show you start making the same mistake. That means you're not responsible. But if you make a mistake, then the next show, you know, you improve. People notice those things, you know. Razali Ahmad, cara applying jazz chord. Actually, Razali, kalau nak apply jazz chord kan, you just kena belajar lagu jazz, itu aja. Katakan macam, for example, right, let's say apa, what's the song that I was doing just now? I did something for one of my students. Let me think. What was it? The song that we did earlier today. Was it? No, it wasn't. I think it wasn't. It wasn't Fly Me to the Moon. It wasn't Autumn Leaves. I think we did Misty or something. So macam contohnya, like there's a jazz song called Misty, you know, and the chords, the popular chords are like E flat major 7, like that, right? So let me see. So if like. So let's say that first part is just E flat major 7 going to B flat minor 7 to E flat 9 to A flat major 7. Now if I played it as normal, not jazz chords, right, I play triads. It's okay, but it's not very colorful. E flat, A flat major. So in terms of, for a jazz standard, that first chord cannot be E major, E flat major, it has to be E flat major 7. And then the second one cannot be B flat minor, it has to be B flat minor 7. And next one, at least it has to be E flat 7 and then A flat major 7. But what could be nicer kan, kalau nak main kan, kita mungkin main E flat major 7, then B flat minor 7, and E flat 9, then A flat major 7. So it's just a matter of, if you want to apply, cara nak apply jazz chord ni, belajar lagu jazz, lepas tu pakai chord tu. That's the basic thing. Did Kurt Cobain apply jazz chord in Nirvana song? Not really. Sebab lagu Nirvana bukan lagu jazz. Lagu Nirvana is lagu grunge, lagu rock. So most of the punya chord will be power chords. I mean, it's all the... let me think. There's a few like Nirvana songs that I really like from Unplugged in New York. Let me think. Sekejap. Nirvana. I'm trying to remember the titles. But I know people have covered lah. People cover lagu Nirvana, but mine in the style of macam lagu jazz, like in jazz songs. But like Lithium is a nice one as an example of, it's not a jazz song, but it's the progression is quite beautiful. The way the chords are moving. Lithium, from Unplugged. No, not Unplugged. From Nevermind. Haven't checked out that song in a while. Yeah, let me just check out the chords. So for example, Lithium, I mean, they're tuned down, I think they're tuned down like a whole step, but I'll just play like. So what's that progression? E, G sharp 5, C sharp 5, C, E, G sharp, C sharp, A, C, D, B, D. So, for example, kan, it's not jazz progression, right? But so that one, right? It sounds very major. Then it goes to here. Is A major is like 4 chord kan. Here, that is macam dia borrow, dia jadi minor. Itu pun minor, kind of borrowed Mixolydian basically. Or you can say maybe borrowed from natural minor boleh. And then it goes to B, which is that one could be major or minor. So the song kan is like between the song actually the harmony, the chord progression macam between major or minor. So that's why you have sorry. So that's like major and then minor. So it's not really jazz, but it's like quite interesting in that sense. Rostam, my late father was my biggest influence on my music. Oldies and evergreens, Frank Sinatra, Andrew Humperdinck and such. Who's your biggest influence? My biggest influence, man, I think, okay, I guess, you know, I can relate in terms of my dad. My dad introduced me to a bunch of different things. I mean, he was into Sinatra and Humperdinck as well. He introduced me to Segovia, Andre Segovia, which is who was a classical guitarist that was responsible for bringing classical guitar to concert stage. So that was a pretty big thing, listening to that growing up. Even though I'm not really like a concert classical guitarist, I have played in concert halls playing classical guitar, and I played in a bunch of classical guitar settings. Biggest influence, hard to say, man, because it's like almost everything is like influences me. At the very beginning, I think Michael Hedges was probably one of my biggest influence in terms of fingerstyle guitar. Michael Hedges was huge. Eric Roach was a big influence in my playing because he kind of shaped my whole steel string fingerstyle guitar playing. Influenced me a lot in terms of how I play fingerstyle guitar and tapping and like slapping and percussion and stuff. I think later on, Julian Lage, I would want to say Julian Lage, even though John Stowell definitely directly influenced my way of playing by a lot, because I was transcribing and learning his stuff a lot. At the very beginning of jazz guitar, Joe Pass, even though I couldn't really play his stuff, I really liked that whole that kind of stuff was a very Joe Pass thing that I was into. So great question, Rosam. How to chord melody, Jang Alan. Which note to choose from the chord to play melody when there's harmony? Is there technique how to rhythm all that? And ultimately how to practice to apply it to the real world? So for Jang Alan's question, chord melody, you guys are gonna hear this a lot from me. A lot of these things actually you just need to learn songs to be really honest about it. So for chord melody, for example, let's take Misty as an example. First thing you want to do chord melody is actually flip the word around. The phrase is called chord melody, right? But actually it should be reversed. Many guitarists will say actually it's supposed to be melody chord. So for example, if you want to play Misty, right, you need to know the melody. So let's say the melody is this. Look at me. Then the next phrase goes, I'm as helpless as So just those two, right? And what's the chords underneath? You have to know the song and you have to know the chords. So the basic chords goes, look at me, I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree. That's the basic chord up to that part. Then you have to figure out how do you play that together. So in the past, I would just do like something like, and then E flat major 7 with a D, which is the melody. So keep the melody on top. Then nowadays, I think one of the things that is kind of useful, and I learned this from Jonathan Kreisberg and Julian Latch, is actually to play the melody and then play the bass note of the chord. Then, so here maybe. So just melody and bass note. So you have maybe here B flat, that's supposed to be. Then, so that's just bass and melody. And then after that, you fill in the chord in between. So B flat, right? So you need to know more chords. So that's how you learn. You have to learn as many chord voicings as possible. So B flat, if I have a B flat here, I know that I can do B flat 13 like that. I can do B flat 9 here. I can also do that. I can do B flat 13 with flat 9. Then E flat major 7, I can do this. Or E flat 6 major 7. Or E flat major 7 sharp 5. Or D over E flat, which is macam diminish. Then resolve. Something like that. So I have a bunch of choices, right? Or awal I can put F minor 7. Then melody, B flat minor 7. E flat sus, flat 9. E flat major 7. So what's the exercise? The exercise is actually learn the melody and be able to play it on the guitar, learn the chords, be able to play it on the guitar, then find some kind of way to play it together. So I'm not trying to create new harmony on it. I'm just trying to play the chord of the song, the chords, the original chords, and then trying to find an interesting way to play it that is physically possible on the guitar. You have to find some way that you can play it on the guitar. Macam mana nak setting Behringer HM400? I tak tahulah Rahimi sebab I tak ada Behringer HM400. Let me check apa pedal tu je. HM400. Headphone amplifier. Is it really the headphone amp? Oh, setting untuk amp. Oh man. Oh, that's a Mackie. Is it betul HM berapa tu? HM400. Pedal apa tu? I jumpa HM400 Mackie. I jumpa HM300 Behringer Heavy Metal. Is it HA ke HM? HM300 I jumpa. Hafiz Jamil. So kalau if it's a pedal kan, Raimi, in general, pedal, the way I do it is I will first thing I try to get a good sound basic daripada guitar to the amp. So I have to be happy with the basic guitar sound going to the amp. After I'm happy with the basic guitar to the amp sound, then baru I adjust the pedal, and I will adjust one by one the pedal. Katakan apa-apa setting on the pedal, I will look at one of the settings and adjust maybe paling minimum and then paling maximum and dengar the sound. So you have to trust your ears tau. Sebab kalau you pakai amp lain, bunyi dia lain. So if you using a different amp, it's going to be different. If you use pedal board dengan different cables, it's going to be different. If you use a different guitar, it's going to be different. So you have to experiment one by one kan, daripada setting low, setting middle, and then setting tinggi for each of the knobs, and then try on and off with the pedal and see whether what you like. When you find something that your ears say, okay, this sounds right, you have to trust yourself. And if you try to find a pedal sound or an EQ or an effect, right, when it sounds in your room without a band lain daripada if you're in a rehearsal studio or you're at a show. So you kind of need experience to try in a studio setting and also in a recording setting and also in a performance setting. Dia beza. What's your theory behind walking bass? Walking bass is basically chord tones on beat 1 and beat 3. So for example kan, katakan A minor, the chord A minor. If I'm just walking on A minor, right? So beat 1 would be maybe like A minor, A, right? Beat 3 would be E, for example, or maybe another chord tone C. So chord tone, scale, chord tone, scale, chord tone. That's the basic lah. So that's the basic. Actually, the thing about walking bass, right, is in general chord tones on 1 and 3, or chord tones as much as possible. And then the rest is trying to go to the next chord when you need to go. Beats 2 and 4, you boleh pakai non-chord tone. You can use non-chord tone to approach the chord tones. That's the basic thing. Walking basses, at the basic, that's all it is. For simple walking bass line. At the advanced level, we can talk about it for like 16 weeks pun boleh. In terms of actually being able to apply and improvise. I took a class masa dekat college dulu. We did one whole semester walking bass line and chords for guitar lah. So it can be really deep, but at the basic level, it's mostly chord tones, and then chord tones on 1 and 3. Kalau if you want to move around a bit. Aaron said, "What's your main setting on the amp?" Mine's usually bass treble 10 o'clock, mids 2 o'clock using a jazz chorus. My setting is different. I use my okay. In general, it's like this. I don't have one setting on my amp. The reason is I listen to the sound in the room. So I completely adjust by ear most of the time. And so that means that I use rolling jazz chorus as well. It depends on the guitar. It depends on the band that day. So, but sometimes the room might be very bass heavy. So I might have to cut some bass on my amp. I usually generally cut the thing. If I have something too high, if it sounds too muddy, I'll cut the bass. If it sounds no definition, cut the mids. If it's too thin, I'll raise the mids a bit. Maybe if it's too high, I'll cut the treble. So I usually think of cutting the frequency rather than adding to it. And I usually, my amp setting the volume, I try to set it maybe kalau like most of those bigger amps like jazz chorus, I set it at about maybe 2 o'clock, like 2 or 3 or 4. Usually 2 or 3 lah, because you don't need the amp to be that loud most of the time. Unless it's a loud band, and I'll put it louder a bit. So I don't have a main setting. In fact, if you want to know my main setting, right, usually the best way to find out my setting for a gig, I usually post it on Instagram stories when I'm doing sound check. I will actually like sometimes take a photo of the setting, and that's how I remember for the show. I will set it up during rehearsal or during sound check. I'll take a photo of it, and sometimes I'll put it on Instagram because sometimes people want to know what setting I use. Like right now for I have a acoustic Singer Pro. the setting is mids is 2 o'clock, treble is 10 o'clock, bass is 9 o'clock, volume is now at volume's at like 10 o'clock. But this was a setting I did for my student punya guitar, which is one of the recent classes, and it works, you know. But most of the time I don't really play plugged in at home so much unless I'm working on some electric project or electric recording. So it basically changes depending on the gig. Hi, Lap Hong asks, how many guitars you own, both electric? Which one's your most used or most favorable and why? I have a lot. I rather not count. But the main one, I actually did an inventory. I don't have like crazy a lot lah, but like the main ones I use is I have a steel string Loudon, which I like for shows. This is actually the guitar I use the most, not for like gigging nowadays lah, but for general, if I have to practice, right, I will pick up this guitar 9 times out of 10. It's a Takamine EN60C. I use this a lot because I just like the sound of it, and it's very easy to play. It's, some people say the action's high, you know, so I've gotten people come to me like, hey, the action is so high, but it's really comfortable for me. It's the guitar that I've been playing for quite a long time. So to me, it's very easy to play. It sounds nice, and I can practice jazz, or like most of the time I'm practicing fingerstyle or jazz. So this is my main guitar. Why? Because it's comfortable and it sounds good. How many types of drop voicings can you do on a guitar? The main ones are drop 3, drop 2, drop 2 and 4. What else? Those are the main 3 ones. Drop 3, drop 2, drop 2 and 4. There are a bunch of other ones, but I don't really use them as much. Close voicing, but that's not a drop voicing, that's just a close voicing. 4-part close. I usually perform alone, acoustic guitar and singing, Rostam says. Any tips to make my performance non-monotonous? Change the rhythm, change the groove. I mean, like maybe one song you can do like bossa, and maybe the next song can be like, you know, I don't know, like swing or something. So it's from bossa to swing. Then what else can I do? Maybe something like kind of more R&B. So if you're performing solo, you just want to try to see if you can change the style, change the key, change the tempo, change the arrangement ideas. Basically from song to song, just make it different. Don't play like 2 swing songs back to back at the same tempo. That can be kind of boring, unless there's a reason for that. So learn many styles, learn many kinds of grooves, and try to notice what key each song, what key and what tempo and what style each song. So usually when I write a set list, I will write the key, I'll write the tempo, and I'll write the style. So I know that, and I'll know what kind of set. I want to make sure my set changes, there's variety. That's the main thing I do. So I look at, when I design my set, I think of it like that. So that's a great question. Set design, you know, like set list design. Design a set. I'm just writing down some of the topics that I answered. Audition and set reading. We talked about how to design a set list. Chord melody basics. What else did we talk about just now? Chord melody influences, musical influences. Design set list. You guys have great questions. Thanks for coming up with these questions. Anything else? What's the difference between inversions and drop voice? I think you mean drop chord voicings. Drop voicings. Inversions are kalau you take a chord, right? Let's say you take a chord like C major 7. So C major 7, C, E, G, B. If the lowest note is C now, right, C, E, G, B. If I make the lowest note another chord tone, for example, E, G, B, E, G, B, C. So now the lowest note is E, E, G, B, C. So this is an inversion, meaning the lowest note is now another chord tone. Let's say I change again. Maybe I put the lowest chord tone might be G, G, B, C, E. So this means that now is C major 7 over G. So this is an inversion as well. The voicing is called a closed 4-part closed voicing, and the inversion is a second inversion because G is in the bottom voice. So that's the main difference. So you could I could have, for example, this is a drop 2 voicing of C major 7. The first inversion is E, B, C, G. So that's an inversion, and the voicing is called drop 2. If I did here G, B, G, C, E, B, this is a second inversion, and the voicing is drop 2. If I did here B, E, G, C, this is third inversion. The voicing is drop 2. So that's the main difference between those two. Good question. You have a lot of questions, man. I like the questions. Difference between inversions and drop voicings. I'm just keeping track of the questions you have so that I can write it in the description. So nowadays, right, what I'm doing is I'm doing these things live for you guys so I can answer your questions. But I'm also later I put it up on YouTube. So you know, in case anyone binge watches videos on YouTube, you can actually watch all this. It's much easier to, I find that it's easier to search on YouTube, but I know that a lot of people are more live online watching stuff on Facebook Live. So I try to put it on both so you guys can watch either way you prefer. So let's see. See whether there's any more questions. Okay, so I guess no more questions so far. Let me see if I can play something for you guys while. So think about questions. If you guys have any questions about guitar playing or music or anything, you can type it out. I do want to say that in case if you guys are watching this, you're probably guitarists, right? And if you're a guitarist and you haven't been teaching guitar and you're thinking of like, you know, hey, how can I buy another pedal? How can I buy another amp? How can I buy another guitar? You might want to consider teaching teaching guitar as a way to make side income. But a lot of people, when they start teaching, they don't have any strategy of how to teach. You know, what can you teach? How can you get students? What do you need to know? Do you know enough? And so I have a new course that you can actually check out. It's all the things I wish someone told me when I started teaching guitar, it's called How to Start Teaching Guitar. And it's just at www.azsamat.com/teach, T-E-A-C-H. And you can see it in the description. On the video description, it's just azsamat.com/teach, T-E-A-C-H. I'm just pasting it here as well so you guys can see it. So that one is if you want to teach guitar and you want a systematic way to start organizing how to do it so that you can actually get your first student and make some money from teaching guitar as a side income, check it out. Strongly recommend it. I think it's going to help out a lot of people who are into it. What books you recommend on harmony or jazz harmony? Any from Berkeley? There's a book by my teacher. It's called it's from Barry Nettles. It's called let me get the title for you. Yeah. Barry Nettles. It's called the Chord Scale Theory and Jazz Harmony by Barry Nettles and Richard Graff. That's the one that I would recommend. It's actually by a company called Advanced Press. So that's the one I would recommend. It's a great book. I studied with Barry when I was in Berkeley, and Barry is a really good, really amazing harmony teacher. He taught actually another harmony teacher of mine, Steve Roshinsky, And Steve studied with Tal Farlow, and I took a bunch of harmony classes with him. He's like probably my best harmony teacher ever. Now, on jazz guitar, the other book you want to check out for jazz harmony is John Damian book. John Damian, what's the name? It's not Chord, but what's the name? John Damian book. This is the book that kind of changed my life even before I went to Berkeley, and then I studied with John, and it was really good. So this is another book I recommend. The Guitarist's Guide to Composing and Improvising. John Damian is Mike Stern's guitar teacher. Mike Stern, Rosenwinkel studied with him. A lot of people studied with him. So he's really amazing. John, I think he just retired from Berkeley. He's on Facebook, so you should check his stuff out on Facebook as well. He posts things from time to time. He's genius. Another book I recommend is the Brett Wilmot book, but that one is quite hard to read. Like you kind of need a lot of patience to check it out because it's a lot of material. I studied with Brett, and I really recommend the book, but I recommend going through it with a lot of patience as well. So check it out, but be very patient as you go through it. It's called The Complete Book of Harmony Theory and Voicing by Brett Wilmot. So those three books, right, in terms of jazz harmony, those three books are probably some of the best books that I would recommend to start with. There's a lot more books, but those are really great. So yeah, so hopefully that helps out. Billy Salvador, do you think it's necessary for students to read standard notation? How do you approach teaching things like tabs? Huge topic, but generally, if it's a really beginner student, I'm not too concerned, to be honest, I'm not too concerned to start off with standard notation to read at the very beginning, because I think it's important to get them to physically be able to play the instrument, at least some basic technique. And it depends on the student's goals and depends on the age. So I have different approaches to teaching guitar depending on their goals. So if they want to play like an Ed Sheeran tune or something, they want to start playing like Ed Sheeran style, or they want to play like some simple folk stuff, I wouldn't start them off necessarily sight reading first. I will try to I'll teach them how to play and get their technique together at a basic level. Is it necessary though? To be honest, I don't think it's super necessary, but I think it's really useful for a lot of students, especially if they're starting to get serious. I know that I feel fortunate that I started off reading from the very, well, not from the very start. From my first formal lesson, I started reading music. So teaching things like tabs, I teach those things on a need-to-know basis. So if I need to teach stuff and it's easier to show how to do stuff with tab, I show it by tab. But I basically go for an approach where I use everything that's essential. Like, I'll show them how to play it. I'll record, I'll show them on video. I'll ask them to record me demonstrating it. If they're visual learners, if they're oral learners, I ask them to record and listen to my playing. If they need a visual aid, maybe I'll tab it out or I'll do a chord diagram. If they are coming from a classical background, maybe they play some piano, I might just write it in standard notation. So it depends on the student's background. So I don't think, I don't treat every student the same. I look at what their background is, what their aptitude is, what kind of stuff they're into, and what kind of things they're good at, how they learn, their personal learning style. Because some people can learn a lot in one class, and some people just a little bit, and then you go deep, it's much better. So, and some people they learn one song in class, they're very happy, like simple 3-chord song. And some people, they need to learn like a lot of information in the class. So everyone's very different. So I approach it individual, student by student. So that's my answer. Rostam Shah Baharudin, when can you see me sing online, please? I'm not a singer, man. You will hear me sing like, look at me, I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree. I'm I'm out of tune. And into a cloud I can't understand. I get misty just holding your hand. On my own. I'm not a singer, and I don't work on it so much. So most of the time, you know, if you talk to some of the people that know me, you probably don't want to hear me sing, but you don't know me that well yet, so you probably still want to hear me sing. I just sang, so hopefully that's what you wanted, and you got what you wanted. So yeah, Billy. Again, guys, if you're watching this, if you're watching this and you find that this is helpful, please click like. You know, please click like, and please, you know, your hearts and all the stuff, the love. Please like other people's comments on this as well, and please share this video. I really appreciate it if you just take some time, click share, and share it on your timeline, or share it on with a friend that might benefit from learning guitar, benefit from the information from this video. This is episode number 4. I'm trying to do videos every day. I'm trying to keep it up for as much as I can. So this is episode 4 of the series Ask Us, where you get to ask me questions. I can't promise that I'm doing this every day, but I'm trying my best. Today is the 4th day in a row that I'm doing it live, usually about 11 o'clock at night, like that, because that's when just before I sleep, I do this session and practice and just hang out with you guys. So those are some great questions. Okay, so while waiting for you guys for some, in case you guys still have any questions, I want to do a plug for an upcoming thing. I haven't announced this yet, but I have this book that I've been working through the past for many years actually. It's called Developmental Arpeggios. It's by this Berklee teacher called Ken Taft. He retired from Berklee, but this book is great, and it's just basically arpeggios. So like, for example, you know, major triad, minor triad, augmented, diminished, major 7, dominant, major 7, minor 7, flat 5. Is basically just a book on arpeggios. And I've been very fortunate and very blessed that Ken actually sent me, I believe, I don't remember how many copies, but I have a certain number of copies for this book. And I'm not selling the book. I am actually going to teach any student that wants to study with me. The book has about, let me check how many chapters. Has about 15 chapters. So usually one chapter is going to be one class, maybe 1 hour or 2 hours. I would say minimum 1 hour per chapter. So I'm looking for students that would be interested to study using this book as a textbook for probably at least 4 months. So you would have to commit to take lessons for 4 months. You do get the textbook as part if you sign up to study for the 4 months. I haven't officially offered it, so if you're watching this now, you're the first one to hear it. You're the first people. I guess there's 10 people live now. You're the first 10 people to hear about this, and it's a course that was offered at Berklee as a guitar lab at Berklee, and I would be taking a certain number of students. So if you're interested in really knowing your arpeggios, this is such a great book to get. I'm not selling the book. I am actually teaching from the book, the material in the book. So if you wanted to actually get a copy of the book, you can buy it from me, but you have to sign up for classes. And then I will, because I promise Ken asked me whether I could teach teach the material in the book. And so I said, yes, I would love to. I'd be honored. And then he sent me copies of the book for me to teach. So I will be making probably some official announcement within a few weeks or something. But if you guys are watching this, just know that if you guys are interested in leveling up your arpeggios, this is more is great for anyone in any style, but especially if you play like blues or jazz, it's particularly good for that. But it will work for rock, it will work for pop, it will work for like R&B, neo soul. It's a really good book, and it's like really comprehensive and great fingerings for certain styles especially, but it works for any style. Jiang Alan, how to solo over chord changes effectively, especially there's a lot of change. Wow, there's a lot of questions, man. Firstly, I don't think of scales as the main approach. I think of chord tones. The more the chords, I think of more of the arpeggios and the chord tones. The outside sound is only something nowadays I consider after you know the inside sound and you do outside. Okay, like let me just show you an example. For example, katakan, let's say let's say the changes are E minor 7, E minor 9, D, A7 sharp 5, D minor 9, G7 sharp 5, C major 7. What would I do? I would actually learn the arpeggio. So E minor, I'll make sure I know. Then A7, I'll know augmented arpeggio. D minor 7, D minor 7 arpeggio. And here's same, the augmented. And C major 7, maybe C major 7 arpeggio. So the first thing when I want to solo that, I want to know all the arpeggios. And the first exercise that I would do is to just connect those arpeggios. So that's the basic exercise. After I know those fingerings for those arpeggios, then I will maybe play over a backing track that I record or a loop or something and start to mess around and try to create lines over it. That's the basic exercise. If I don't know the arpeggio and I don't know a way to connect it, I won't even start using the chord scale. After I know that, then I'll use the chord scale maybe, and then I'll start using like chromatic approaches, things like that. That's the very basic thing. Eric, bro, have you used Try It Best? Yeah, I love Try It Best. I don't use it as much as before, but like say D minor, stuff like that. So let me do it one more time. So that was going to a 2-5, then maybe C. So for D minor, maybe I'll use G and F. For G7, maybe I'll use D flat and E flat. C major 7, I'll probably use a D and E. So something like that. So those are like Try It pairs. I wouldn't say it's a simple way of using it, but it's like a very direct mostly triad pair soloing over D minor 7, G7, C major 7, A7. Hey Aizu Hakimi, how you doing, man? Your thoughts on Bronchong Jazz? I haven't played Bronchong Jazz, so I don't really have anything. You tried playing Donna Lee with triad pairs. So Aaron, can you play the melody of Donna Lee like at tempo correctly? That is to me the thing. Like triad pairs work for almost any style of any kind of jazz chord progression. This was. Yeah. So you could, yeah. I mean, sure you could. There's so many triad pairs you could do. Some of it might be faster, so you know you might not get a chance to use both triad pairs. Yeah, it's quite. Triad pairs are quite fun for a certain kind of sound, which is nice. Play that 120. You don't have super fast fingers. Yeah, I wish I had super fast fingers, but I would. Yeah, it's a great chord progression. I haven't practiced Donna Lee as much as, so to say, I should. It's a great bebop hit for sure. Yeah, it's a great tune. So yeah, I like triad pairs. I have gone through phases where I was studying and practicing a lot of triad pair ideas. Some of my favorite players like John Stowell. I actually use a lot of triads in my soloing, but I tend sometimes I'll use more than a pair. I might use several. For example, like D minor. There's so many triads you can use. So major triads that you can use in D minor, G, F, C. What else can you use? So you have C, F, and G, and those are the inside ones. So if you want to go outside, you can use F sharp, and you can use E flat. What else? D major? No, that's too out. D flat. You can use D flat, I guess, or you can use E flat as well. E flat, B flat, you can use. So it's like almost, as long as it's a major and minor triad, those are the strongest triad sounds that you can use. Some of it will be inside, some of it will be outside. So D minor, right? So like D minor, if I use F, that's in, right? If I use E, that's out, you know, so. If I use G, that's in, but with a tension because there's a B natural. So I can use G and then go to F sharp and then back to G. So that's quite nice. Or I can go from G, maybe F sharp to F. So stuff like that. So I'm actually using a lot of major triads. F, G, F sharp. E flat would be nice. But it's only like, that's really not really that out. E flat's a bit out. B flat's a little bit out. It's quite sweet actually. there's a lot of triads you can use for all these things. How do you usually apply giant steps with triad pairs? I know there's 3 tonal centers. I would probably apply them on the 2 5s, because on the main part, right, it goes to, then it goes to G, right? Then it goes. Then it goes what? If I remember correctly. So the first part, right, that whole no real chance to use triad pairs because there's no time, right? Yeah. At that point, you're already in the G, so maybe the 2 5 here, 2 5 to the next part. So the first part, 1, 2, 3, bar 4 you can do. What can you do that triad pairs there? It's only, the thing is, there's only 4 beats, you know, so you could probably use, you can simplify the A minor D7 to just think of it as D7. Then I would use maybe C triad and maybe B triad. Yeah. So C, B, maybe going to D, something like that. So let's see the first part. Something like that. So I can use C, B, going to D. Not a lot of time though. Then so I wouldn't typically use triad pairs there because the song is the piece is usually too fast. I would use triad pairs most of the time. You could, but I would typically use triad pairs when there's a little bit more time. You know, if I was like a shredder, maybe I would, but I'm not. So I would just, even if I can make all the changes, I'd be quite happy. Can't do it. I need to practice that. I haven't practiced it in a while, but I would just really not even worry about triad pairs. For at least for giant steps, I would, if I want to use it, I would probably use it with something very simple, like Blue Bossa or like Autumn Leaves or something. Things that where the chords actually last for 1 bar. Then there's a bit of a chance, because a lot of people want to use triad pairs because it's cool, but most of the time when I hear them play it, most people can't hear the sound, and the problem when you can't hear the sound, it doesn't sound very good. It sounds like you're trying to be smart, and it sounds like you're trying to be smart as opposed to trying to play music. So it doesn't impress musicians, and it doesn't impress audiences. But it's amusing, so it's quite fun as a circus trick. So in terms of applying it musically, I would really recommend just picking some simpler tunes. So Donali is okay because the chord progression actually is one chord per bar. Stuff like Autumn Leaves or All the Things You Are, or like Beautiful Love or Blue Bossa, or like even like even something like Girl from Ipanema might be a better place to use triad pairs, because there's time to hear the sound. Altered scale. Okay, I'll give you my explanation for the altered scale. Probably the last thing I'm going to answer for tonight. So altered scales like this. There's two ways of viewing it. I'll show you way number one. Way number one is if you have a G7, you have the root, and you have the flat 7, and you have the third. So basically, you have the root and the guide tones. Altered just means that there's a flat 9, there's a sharp 9, there's a flat 5, there's a sharp 5. So there's these 4 notes: flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, sharp 5. So if you have G and then you have flat 9 is A flat, sharp 9 is B flat or A sharp. Then you have a B, which is the third, and then you have a D flat, which is the flat 5, and D sharp, which is the sharp 5, and then you have an F. Once you do that, you have the altered scale. 1, flat 9, sharp 9, 3, flat 5, sharp 5, flat 7, root. And then you play it another octave higher. That's the altered scale. That's method number one, which is you're looking at it from root, third, and flat 7, and then flat 9, sharp 9, flat 5, sharp 5. The second way of looking at it is that it's actually also called the Superlocrian mode, which is a mode of melodic minor. So the simple formula is that if you have a dominant chord and you want to play an altered scale, you play a melodic minor scale a half step above. So G7, the melodic minor scale would be A flat. So play A flat melodic minor, which is 1, flat, 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And it ends up being the same scale. That's basically the altered scale. In terms of like how do you use it, I would say transcribe. It sounds very cliched, but listen to good recordings and find like there's some cliche kind of lines that are really nice. For example, that's very typical. What's that? So I would typically try to find 8-note phrases. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So maybe. Or. So those are all like 2-5-1, D minor, G7, altered, and then C major 7. Cantaloupe Island pun bagus to main triad pair. The Herbie Hancock stuff anything that macam the chord progression stay on the chord for longer. Blues is good also, like F blues or B flat blues. Anything that is more static lah. Yeah. So Cantaloupe Island, Freddie Freeloader might. No, I wouldn't use Freddie Freeloader, but Cantaloupe Island for sure. What's the other Herbie song? There's a few, Maiden Voyage. Those kind of songs where early Herbie Hancock will be good. So Jang Alan, I hope that answers your altered scale question. Actually, altered scale, the basic is not that complicated actually, but it just takes some time. And the thing is, you need to learn the fingering really well, and then you need to learn the lines. And learning the lines is, you know, transcribing, learning from like maybe lessons and videos and things like that. So it takes some time to get musical vocabulary into your playing, but you really have to look at it from the music side. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna call it a night. It's been 1 hour 11 minutes. Thanks so much for watching. Again, if you guys enjoyed this video, please click like, please share this video with your friends. And if you guys are interested to teach guitar to make some side income, or if you're already teaching but you feel like you want to get more students, you want to organize the way you teach, you want to organize what you know and how to use what you know to get more students so you can make some extra side income as a guitar teacher, check out my new course. It's at www.azsamad.com/teach. Tell your friends who play guitar, who are thinking of getting into teaching, check out that course, azsamad.com/teach, TEACH. And so thanks so much everyone. Hey Adrian, hey Aaron, Jang, Alan, Aizu Hakimi, Ili Salvador, Rostam Shah. Who else was watching earlier? Lap Hong, Aaron Cheng, Rahimi Ashraf, Wan Amir Fidaus, Azlan Jalaluddin, Razali Ahmad, David earlier. So thanks so much guys for watching, and hope this video was helpful, and see you guys again next time, okay? So take care and have a good night.